Good late afternoon to you, Section 74. You know, when we were getting the camera set up here, I was thinking there's been a few days in my life in this peat bog where I've gone out on the front porch and you look at the thermometer and you go, wow, it's a day pretty much like you. 51, mostly cloudy. Today's one of those days too. A lot of these trees are all flocked, you know, with silver, kind of like me. Just trying to blend in here. You know, with this little video, I'd like to talk to you about something that I never did talk about with my online students, Comp 1, in the fall, and that's the subject of grades. Just sort of a, I don't know if we'd call them a necessary evil in school, but they are definitely part of what we live with as teachers and students. And in just 10-12 minutes, I'd like to communicate to you a little bit of some of the thinking that I've given and the wondering I've done about grades and their place in my life. I take the idea of you know, posting up grades as people's teacher of record quite seriously. And all my life I have just been dealing with getting grades, giving grades once you cross the line from student to teacher. And I just want to share a few things with you, if only to let you know that I've done some thinking about it. Now what's kind of neat is I can look back across my life and realize that I've gotten every grade under the sun. Okay, I flunked small gas engines in high school because I blew up an engine on the last day of class, just about set my high school, Noka Senior High, on fire. I got a D in typing, I think the same year, because Mr. Hall wouldn't let me type poetry instead of the business letters that I was supposed to work on once I learned how to type. You know, so there's that kind of thing. Flunked high school chemistry. I'm not proud of that. Maybe I should have given it a second chance. But what's kind of neat is that I have a sweet mother, my mom, and hi Mom, I'm on the internet. She watches these on her iPad. I have a mother that has served the purpose kind of as the curator of my childhood. She's kept a lot of my gear. And you're about to see something that I have never shown to students ever. And that's my grade report, report card, excuse me, from first grade and second grade. Actually, I got all of the first 8 years, but you know, I can look back here and we can sort of kind of see the future being predicted. Let's have a look here. First year out, I'm obviously not doing very well in religion. Science, I only got a B in the first quarter, but right off the bat, I'm doing okay on reading. A and then A plus and then an A plus. You can see my handwriting is breaking down here. By the time we get to the final quarter there, and for some reason I got nothing but B's, straight B's in music. When we behold the wreckage of my second grade report card, we can see some patterns beginning to emerge. I'm still doing okay in reading, although I came out swinging with an A minus in the first quarter. And obviously this math scores, these math grades breaking down, obviously show that we're headed for some trouble there. And you know, are these the report cards of a little boy who would go on to spend his entire life in the humanities and studying and talking about things he loves? I have no idea. But I do know that I was an awful little kid when I started learning about the economy of school. You do a certain amount of work as well as you can, and then the teacher trades you in return a grade. Now, one of the things that I want to communicate to you is that I have thought about grades and I worry about them, and I want you to feel like whatever grade you've gotten is fair in this course. The thing is, as you might guess, grading in the humanities is notoriously sketchy and inconsistent. Math grades always feel official. You know, you take a math test, you get 87%. Well, there's no questioning, right? You got 87% of the questions right. That's the way that world has it dialed in. In places where I dwell, in history classes, philosophy, English classes, and the humanities and the liberal arts, things are just not quite that cut and dried. I do want to say this to you. If you gave one essay to 10 different Minsky English teachers, you would probably get 10 different viewpoints on the grade, or the paper quality. In other words, you would see teachers approaching the essay and finding things that they liked or disliked. Everything's praise, blame. You might give it a paper to me, and I'm going to go, wow, what an interesting style, because I'm all about a voice. You move on and you give that paper to a grammarian, And all of a sudden the paper's just all bloody with red marks, because grammarians tend to be people who hunt for error. And you give the paper to a third teacher, and they're going to find something else that they like or dislike. We're all going to do different things with our pens. I can tell you this though, English teachers like me are trained to grade and evaluate and assess papers in big groups. They sort of lock us as graduate students into rooms, whether it's the 80s where I went for the first time to grad school, or most recently, and the chair of the department comes in and they give out essays. And then the chair or the supervisor draws ABC on the board, and we read them holistically, and at the end, the PhD says, okay, how many of you gave this paper an A, this paper a B, this paper a C? And they like to see, little clusters in the same place. Generally, if you put 20 English majors in a room, they're going to be able to sort of smell or sniff out what that grade is. More surprisingly than you might think, even if they are going to find different things that they like and dislike in terms of primary traits. Now, my other job at the College of St. Benedict, all bets are off there, because in that program, in the FYS program, we're all from different disciplines, right? There's chemists and economists and biologists and English majors teaching alongside each other, same program. We did the same thing, and I've seen this, give out a bunch of papers, and the supervisor says, how many of you graded such and such this way? Well, they just start fighting. They get the sporks out, and they start knifing one another. I got so troubled about the idea of grades in the mid-90s once I conducted a little bit of an experiment I can tell you all about. I read the books of this guy named Peter Elbow, who teaches in a place where there are no grades whatsoever, Evergreen College. Students there, kind of like at St. John's College in Annapolis and Santa Fe, they just get written comments. They just get written evaluations and spoken comments on their academic work. Peter Elbow argues that grades actually can be destructive in a school. Say somebody walks into a class like Composition 1 and they say, gosh, if only I could get a B in this class. Well, if they get a B on the first paper, that's all they want. That's their desire. It's fulfilled. Probably that's the end of the striving. And so one year, oh my goodness, did I do something foolish? I didn't really give out any letter grades for an entire semester to a bunch of seniors in this AP English class I taught long ago. Did the same thing in the correspondence class I was teaching at St. John's University. This was about 94, 95. I didn't give them any grades on anything. I gave them a lot of written comments, but at the end of the semester, they're all like, "Whoa, what's the story here? Are you giving us grades or not?" And I flipped over the card on my little experiment. I said, "Surprise! You know what? This semester you get to self-evaluate. Give yourself a grade. Defend it in an essay." And you can imagine, at the high school level, guess how many A's there were out of 16? How about 16? There I am again in the principal's office, door closed, getting yelled at again, promising I'll never do that for the rest of my life. It wasn't fair, right? They were 18 years old, they were trying to get into school, they had goals, and they couldn't not do anything but put an A down and then justify it in the essay. Johnnies and Bennies that year, they were hard on themselves. They gave themselves B's and C's. A couple of them I had to call on the telephone at night and say, you know what, excuse me, but you've done a really good job, you've made contributions to the class against your will. I'm giving you an A/B. The bottom line is, even though I don't think anyone's ever going to ask you what your Comp 1 grade was at a job interview, any more than I'm going to be asked how I did in handwriting in 1967, pretty poorly actually, flat C's all across the line. I know they're important. You're building a transcript. Some of you people might be headed for graduate school. And that's very possible. I do want you to feel that I've thought about grades, that I've given them some thought, that I try to pay attention and be professional about being supportive and encouraging and holding everybody accountable too. And if you have questions about grades or doubts, if you ever want to discuss them, I'm willing to have that conversation with you. You can call me on the phone, you've got my phone number, or you can email me. Those papers are revisable for a higher grade. If you take a paper that you're not satisfied with and want to revise it either lightly or extensively, recognize that you've at least got control over that part of it. And I don't know, maybe you should go dig up your first and second grade report cards, third and fourth grade. I wonder what they predicted about you. Anyway, see you in the next video, Comp 1.